What do you get when elderly men casually meet up to discuss life? You probably think of some chaps having a few beers and talking about politics. Well, this time that wasn't the case. Instead of few beers, they decided to steal 16 million pounds. That's right, you heard me right. You might think this might sound like a movie, well you could say it was, but only in real life, as they almost got away with it. It all started on the morning of 2012 on Friday when 5 elderly men decided to meet up in a local pub and discuss how they can pull off last one heist before they went away to the other side that will be remembered for years to come. As all of the members of the group were experienced thieves, they easily found out the weaknesses of the jewelry store security systems. But as all things go, there's always going to be some complications. The day of the heist. After 3 long consecutive years of planning to start their plans in motion. It all started on April 1, 2015 when all electrical cables under the pavement in Kingsway caught on fire, leading to serious disruptions in central London. The fires continued for the next 2 days with flames shooting even out of manhole covers. Several thousands of people were evacuated from nearby offices. On 2nd of April, after depository staff locked the doors for Easter weekend, the heist officially started in motion. As members of the group dressed as workmen's clothes, they let themselves in by breaking into the back door and went into the fire escape that led them to the unused elevator. After they sent the elevator to the 2nd floor to make sure that it would not go down on them, they disabled it and crawled into the basement area where all depository boxes were held. They were just a wall away from all the jewels. Before they continued, a man named Basil disabled the security system so they could easily start working on drilling the hole undetected. But even when they thought that the security system would no longer be an issue, the damage alarm was still working. And at 12:21 p.m., alarm went straight to the Scotland Yard that the vault's damage alarm have been triggered. They haven't sent any police officers to check it out. 1 hour later, the vault security guard checked the premises out. As he was not able to find any signs of forced break-in, all doors seems to be locked. He had no way to get into the building, so he concluded that the alarm might have been falsely triggered, as it had been quite a few times before. Even the owner of the vault had previously stated that the vault had been triggered even by bugs before, because it was set to really high sensitivity. The group had continued their heist with no interference by drilling several holes by using a diamond drill that cost them nearly 4,000 pounds. After they made through the concrete, they quickly realized they were not prepared as they were thinking they were, because the next layer of the security was the security boxes themselves. So they decided to leave the scene and making sure they could easily return there. 2 days later, the group decided to continue their work as it was still the weekend and the place had no one inside. However, the group that day had few less members as 2 members had been scared to proceed with the heist. And furthermore, on the heist, one of the members had a medical emergency as he had collapsed on the scene. But this time, the group would make sure they would come prepared for any emergencies, even medical emergencies, if something would go wrong, and they brought their fellow back on his feet almost immediately and stole as much as they could, profiting as much as 16 million pounds. After that, they carefully brought it into a van and drove away. They stashed the stolen possession into the garbage bins of their own homes. The very next day, when the jewelry store opened up, they found that the vault was completely covered in empty deposit boxes, tools and debris. Detective Chief Inspector Paul Johnson was at the scene, describing it as well organized and well planned, stating that this type of heist could not have been executed by one person. The investigators thought that they will have a breakthrough as all of the tools were still left on the crime scene, but they have been dumbfounded when they realized all the serial numbers of the tools were actually scratched off. The mastermind behind the heist was a 76-year-old man named Brian Reeder. At the time of the heist, he had a medical condition where he was diagnosed with prostate cancer and blood condition called neutropenia, and other medical condition. As it wouldn't be enough, his wife had died just before the heist as well. The second member of the heist was a 60-year-old man named Daniel Danny Jones, who was experienced in making keys and committing acts of robbery. Third member of the group was a 66-year-old celebrating his birthday on the second day of the heist, and he turned to 67. The man's name was Terrence Terry Perkins. The fourth member of the gang was Johnny Kelly Collins, 74-year-old man who was a getaway driver for the group. Other members of the robbery were Hugh Doyle, William Lincoln, Carl Wood, and John Harbison. And the last man of the group was only known by the name of Basil. The investigators, after the heist, started monitoring for jewels on the black market, as well as other contributors of the lower rank to catch the whole group, as well as investigating DNA traces left on the crime scene. However, the authorities were left dumbfounded when they realized that the gang were very cautious in leaving any traces behind them. But even though the heist was almost perfect as a jewel, they missed one camera that was still in operation. After police investigated the cameras, the police quickly found out that there was a white Mercedes-Benz car parked just near the crime scene. They quickly found that the car belonged to a man named Kelly Collins, who was a known criminal. Without Kenny's knowledge, police have gotten legal permission to bug his van and personal car and recorded all conversations going on there. After some time, members of the heist had started talking about their triumph of the heist operation, as well as gather loot. And as expected, they had complained about their co-conspirators, who, after the conversations were done, also were bugged. After the gang decided to split the loot in two cars for laundering the jewels, they had no idea that the investigators had already caught up with them and already had their plans in motion to capture them all. Police captured them when the exchange was put in place. They caught almost all of the conspirators except one man who was nicknamed as Basil, aka Michael Seed, but the police only found out his identity 2 years later, after other members of the heist was already sentenced and imprisoned. The last member was caught while disassembling the stolen jewelry. The members of the heist knew that their old age might be a big issue for the heist, but they knew that they don't have enough time, and if they get caught, they will at least secure their own legacy, as they will be known even far after their deaths. And they were not wrong about that. There were 2 feature films about the heist. Even though their plans did not go as they wanted, they still managed to make a mark that will be remembered for years to come. If you like similar stories, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel. And furthermore, if you have ideas for next video for me to cover, don't forget to comment it down below, and I will see you on the next heist.